Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Type Over 40 with me, Dan Hadley, Birmingham's King of the Geeks, and Rosie, the House Dalek, coming at you a little later in the week than usual for a bite-sized, old-style Type Over 40. Yes, we're going to chew the fat for a little while because we're really, really excited. If you were here the other day for our big live stream show, Type 40 Live, you'll have heard us announce another big event for next Tuesday afternoon. We've got a couple of special guests coming in. Well, three if you count the robot dog himself. And yeah, we're all really, really excited about it at the Spacebook. And when I say we, I couldn't possibly talk about Doctor Who's one and only robot dog without bringing in this guy. Because he was there right at the start as well. It's Simon Horton. Where is he? There he is. Oh, there.
Well, hello there, Dan.
You yourself. Good afternoon, both.
I'm just about to get round the tin dog. Yeah. Come on. Thank you, Canine. Get out. Nice to see you again, Dan.
Oh, I tell you something. Canine. You get to thinking about him just for 5 or 10 minutes, and the nostalgia just hits you wave after wave after wave.
It's funny, isn't it, with Canine? Because in many ways, Canine's a little bit Marmite, and he was even Marmite back in the day. In that you did either love him or loathe him. He is one of those things that you love or loathe. And I've never quite managed to work out what it is. Why do some people love him? And why do some people so passionately hate him? And I've never quite managed to work that out because, of course, I loved him literally from the day I first saw him. And I was amazed to discover that some people didn't like Canine. How could you not like Canine?
Well, you're asking the wrong bloke here, sat here talking to Rosie. Because I think it is just that. I think that at that point in Doctor Who's history, and this is something that, we won't say in front of our guests on Tuesday. We've got other things to talk about. But at that point in Doctor Who's history, it had been on for 15, 16 years or so. And in that time, a generation, probably two of kids, had grown up with it, and the Appreciation Society had started. And there was this. I mean, you remember probably better than I do, but I think there was a movement.
Are you saying I'm older than you?
I'll tell you, got a better memory than I have. But
very
I think there was a movement of people who were at that time involved in Dwas and various other places, and they'd reached adolescence up into their mid and late teens, and because they couldn't leave Doctor Who behind, and they maybe were getting teased about it, they needed Doctor Who to grow up with them. And I think this is something that's happened in cycles. I think that happened in the late 80s too, with my generation of people watching it. And I think when you reach that age, and Doctor Who, it's got its own Appreciation Society, it's almost academic. And there's a range of books which are really, certainly deep in the TV shows. And then on telly, they introduce this cute robot dog. It sort of undermines all that. Does that ring true?
I suppose, it's funny. I'd never even looked at it like that, but I guess that's probably why Canine is controversial. Because, the minute you start introducing cute robots of any form, you're beginning to tread on slightly dangerous ground. One of my favourite films of all time that nobody else likes is The Black Hole. And The Black Hole is a brilliant film. And again, I love the cute robots in The Black Hole. But I get why they're just controversial, because I suppose they're immediately catering to the kiddies, aren't they? And so you're right. Dwas, I think, had only started literally that year, or as in 1977, the year of Canine first appearing, or it might be the year before. It was very, very new at that point. And so, I guess at that point it was getting this growing army of more intellectual fans, for want of a better word, who I guess maybe did just see Canine as just a bit twee and a bit of a joke and undermining the integrity of their precious show.
I can sympathise with that a little.
Yeah, but then me as a 9-year-old, which I was at the time, But it's funny because I also think Canine is one of those things that a lot of non-Doctor Who fans also love Canine. My mom, for example, she hates Doctor Who, but she adores Canine, and she always did since day one. So I think again, Canine is one of those things that you don't necessarily have to be into Doctor Who to appreciate Canine. He is a genius character, whether you like him or not. it's a genius piece of work on the part of the writers, on the part of the designers, and also obviously on the part of John Leeson, who did the voice. It just works. It all gels.
I suppose, because I mean, now we're going to talk about this with Bob Baker. Bob Baker here on the Spacebook next week, the co-creator of Canine. We're going to talk to him, but we can ask him about some of these things, I suppose. But for me, when I look back, because I was younger still when that was on, and I think with the family all sat around like that, if the older kids are sort of over the bit where they're scared of the show, the middle range kids of like 12, say 11 to 13 are still sort of, they get the thrill of being frightened. And the younger ones, if they see something that looks really, really frightening, but there's Canine, another reassuring presence, as well as the Doctor, who's more their height and he's cute. I think that's why parents liked it. I think that that element bonded the family side to it even more so, and I think it meant too that Doctor Who, when it needed to go darker, could go really, really dark. Something like State of Decay, for example. That's really quite a threatening story, isn't it? It's drenched in atmosphere.
Yes.
And the history of Hammer and things like, and that wasn't the only time they did that. But there's Canine trundling around, and it's, you think, well, how do those two things work? But they just do.
They do work, and somehow, I mean, the thing is with Canine's always very much seen really as this kind of by the people that don't like Canine as this sort of comic character. He's there for comic relief. And as a child, I just don't see that. I don't see him as there as comic relief. No, for me, he's just enjoyable to watch. I don't sit there chortling my sides off at anything that he says, because it's not desperately comical.
I always think. Sorry, Simon.
No, that's I should no. I saw. So I just see him as
you said that, and I think that Canine, in that relationship, because let's put this on screen. Actually, in that relationship between the Doctor and Canine, the fourth Doctor. Here's the image. Let's get this up. In that relationship between the Doctor and Canine's the straight man, isn't he?
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. He's the straight guy. He's feeding the lines that then Tom Baker can respond to.
I never looked at it like that before. He's Aurak in Blake 7 to some extent, but better.
In many ways, he is. And I mean, this I think has been said before, but I think this is correct to say that I don't think Canine would necessarily have worked with any other Doctor. Now, that might just be because I can't imagine him with any other Doctor because he's so related to the Tom Doctor. But he wouldn't have worked with John Pertwee. There's no way he would have worked with the third Doctor. The third Doctor just would have been so cheesed off with this know-all little tin dog. And I think for Peter Davison, for the fifth Doctor, it just would have, I don't know, somehow it just would have, the fifth Doctor's character wasn't quirky enough to get away with Canine. Whereas
and
Tom's
he moved so fast as well. There was no way that Canine would ever keep up.
That's true. Whereas Tom's Doctor is so eccentric and so larger than life and so over the top that actually a tin dog makes complete sense. It doesn't stand out as illogical, and so I think it's true to say that it probably Canine only really works with Tom's Doctor, and I personally think it would be a mistake to try and bring Canine back now with any new Doctor. And they're obviously not thinking doing that, but they shouldn't think of doing that. I don't think it wouldn't work. I don't think.
I think Philip Seagal for a time was thinking of putting him with Paul McGann's Doctor if the original plan for the series had have been picked up, because obviously the plan, in case you don't know out there, the original plan for the Doctor Who series that was to star Paul McGann, they were going to remake some of the classic stories, things like Tomb of the Cybermen, for example. And I think The Invisible Enemy was on the list, and I can't imagine that they wouldn't have picked up Canine like that. And I can't. I suppose I can see it with Paul McGann now, and I've heard him with Paul McGann on the audios, but it's still not quite the same. It doesn't quite work. I think Sylvester is the Doctor who I think would probably come closest to be able to capture that.
I agree. I think Sylvester is the only one that I can think of that I can see him really working well with Canine. I still think he's really Canine. He's Tom Tom's companion, and that's it. But I can see him working well with the Seventh Doctor, because the Seventh Doctor would be very happy to get down on his level and do stupid stuff with K9. But again, in many ways, to me, what works well with the relationship between the Fourth Doctor and K9 that wouldn't work so well with the Seventh Doctor is this dryness that Tom brings to it. Sylvester McCoy would be sort of over the top and would be quirky, and I think it would be too much with K9, whereas Tom is so sort of sarcastic, such a put down to K9. It's such a dry humour between the two of them, and that to me is what works so well. They each complement each other so beautifully. And also,
they're almost like Batman and Robin, weren't they? Yeah. I remember I had a little storybook, and I wish I'd still got it. In fact, my mother probably still has. It's called Robbie the Robot.
Yeah, I remember that.
Just a reference to Doctor Who and K9 in there, like there were Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, Batman and Robin, whatever. That's how it was, and yet K9 was only on screen for, it seemed like a long time to us, but it was really only 3.5 years.
Yeah, it was very brief. And of course, let's not forget that in some of those stories, he just got written out anyway. Things like the Power of Crowley just didn't appear. And a lot of the JNT stories, we know that JNT and Eric Saywood just hated him. And and Chris Bidmead just hated K9 and couldn't wait to get rid of him. And much as I love JNT, that's what I'd hold up and say, JNT was completely wrong in his evaluation of K9 and what K9 brought to the series. And of course, the irony of it is then JNT tries to bring in Chameleon a few years later, which is exactly the same but completely different, and it couldn't have been more disastrous. So you kind of think, well, there you go. That's karma for you. You should never have got rid of K9.
Makes you wonder why they considered that. I suppose Chameleon had that harder sci-fi edge. And there was a huge amount of potential there. It was less cutesy, wasn't it? It was more of a sort of a wow kind of thing, in theory.
In theory, it was a wow factor, but
not in practice.
It didn't quite work. But I mean, what's interesting as well with K9 is that it's difficult. It's easy to forget how groundbreaking K9 was at the time. I have a feeling, although I'm sure somebody will maybe correct me on this one, but I'm fairly certain that K9 turned up before Tweaky did, for example, in
way before,
Buck Rogers. What was that, 78 Buck Rogers?
I think that started in the States in 79, late 79, so by a good 2 or 3 years.
Certainly, as I said, the Black Hole was after K9. And Vincent in the Black Hole is reasonably comparable actually to K9. To be fair, they were both pretty much developed in tandem with each other, the Black Hole and Doctor Who and the K9 storyline. So nobody stole from anybody, but actually, ironically, they're very, very similar characters. But funnily enough, it was mentioned only in a video that we made a couple of weeks ago, Dan, that K9 was a direct reaction to R2D2. And I said at the time that
it's a bit of an urban myth,
and I've gone away and I've checked at my dates now just to make sure I was right, because
this one's for you, Ian David Deers, if you're watching.
Yeah, Ian, I was correct, and I've checked at the dates, and actually, we said at the time that we thought The Invisible Enemy came out after Star Wars, even though it had been developed prior to Star Wars. Even that was incorrect. The Invisible Enemy started in October of 77. Star Wars wasn't released in the UK until December the 27th, 1977. So 3 months later. Now, okay, it had been released in the US then, but what people have to remember is in those days, long before the internet, there was no cross-pollination across the between the UK and the US. People in the UK didn't really know about Star Wars until it arrived on our shores in a huge way. They would have known vaguely about it, but not much would have got out in the way of
you could probably have counted the number of people who'd seen Star Wars at that point on the fingers of one hand.
Correct. and so not only was K9 absolutely developed before R2D2, or certainly in tandem with, but it was screened before Star Wars in the UK as well. So absolutely, K9 was not categorically any reaction whatsoever to R2D2, and I'm proud of that. Come on, as Doctor Who fans, we should be proud that this little devil here He was a groundbreaking little monster, as far as I'm
Which
concerned.
which edition of Canine are you holding there? Which release?
What I've got here, this is the one. I ought to put some batteries in him. Actually, this is the talking one from a few years ago, from school reunion days, where you've got the little
Yes, that's the one.
push off thing on the side, and he chats, and he's remote control, so you can wheel him around. So that's that one. The one that I love is the original Dennis Fisher canine. Actually, that's the best. That's a beautiful little model
The
of
one that went
canine.
to the
And I
Tom
used to have
Baker
that.
figure and the Leela figure and the
Correct.
giant robot.
And I used to have that a long time ago, but hey, I don't know where he ended up, in a charity bag, probably many years ago.
Hard to imagine, isn't it? At a time where there was precious few, a handful of Doctor Who books at that time, okay, maybe a growing line of, say, 20 or so, there was very few toys around, but the things that were picked up, the elements from Doctor Who that were picked up to turn into toys, they leapt onto Canine right away, didn't they? And he was put there right with the Doctor and the Daleks and the TARDIS. Such a huge, broad impact. So I mean, this happened, didn't it? This famous picture here of Canine on Blue Peter there with John Noakes and Shep there biting his tail. It's you can't get much bigger than that, can you, to get bitten by Shep?
It's cool, isn't it? It's lovely. And of course, the thing is that we've got to remember is Canine is still recognisable today. People still, he made an impact that back then. He was on a lot of TV shows and stuff. He was on Pebble Mill. He made an appearance on Pebble Mill just before Canine and Company that you got up there from the Radio Times. Yeah. So he was very, very, and then, of course, the irony of it is this is one of the reasons why Tom Baker wasn't quite so keen on Canine, because he was getting a lot of the publicity. Everybody wanted the robot dog in the pictures, and that sort of, threatened Tom's superiority to an extent. He was becoming more popular than the Doctor, in the same way that the Master was for John Pertwee. And these Doctors, they don't like it. They don't like the competition.
No, they tried to spin off elements from Doctor Who, or it had been talked about spinning off elements from Doctor Who pretty early on, wasn't it? There was a talk of a show called Son of Doctor Who, and then there was talk of a unit show, but none of them came to anything. But then, of course, Canine was the one that finally made it through. Okay, it was only a pilot, and it's a pilot that does get a little bit of Mickey taking going on there, but I think it's wonderful. And yeah, if you're watching out there and you've never heard of Blue Peter, actually, I think most people probably have heard of Blue Peter now, even in America, because all the stuff's on the Blu-rays, isn't it? Yeah, it's a wonderful picture from the studio floor there of Blue Peter. But they were great days. It was simple days in many, many respects. But the BBC really knew how they gauged the audience's response really well, didn't they? And they started to put him in shows like that. He was very much branded as a BBC thing, and who wouldn't do that?
I mean, it's interesting because the BBC did take something of a gamble because, of course, Canine was originally planned for one story only, for the Invisible Enemy, and that was it, and he was gone. And so it wasn't a case that they saw how popular Canine was with the audience and they brought him back. No, they made the decision clearly well before his first episode had been broadcast that actually they liked the character, and so he got to stay with the Doctor at the end of Invisible Enemy. And I think, again, I'd have to check up on this. I think I might be right in saying that I think they shot 2 endings for the Invisible Enemy, one with Canine staying with Marius and one with him going with the Doctor. But whatever, as I say, the decision had been made prior to transmission that Canine was stopping, and it was something of a gamble because of the fact that the prop itself was so difficult to work with and so unreliable. It was far easier just to leave him with Marius and say, that was great, thank you very much. So the fact they took the gamble and kept him on was a big gamble to take. Maybe they got one eye on the prize with regards to merchandise, but I don't think so. I don't see that. That was the case. They didn't have that sensibility in those days. The thoughts weren't.
And to be fair, few people did prior to Star Wars, didn't they? We've got to hand that 100% to Star Wars.
Totally. To the action figures, that was down to Star Wars, that merchandising and tie-ins with McDonald's, all the rest of it, totally 100% down to Star Wars. So I don't think, I'm not cynical enough to think that they got one eye on the sort of the merchandise price. I think quite the reverse. I think it would be much easier just to say, leave Canine, he's too difficult. It was a great experiment. leave him.
Yeah,
But
just
they
leave
saw
him
the potential.
leave the
Graham
set
Williams,
dressing.
Graham Williams, bless him, saw the potential, and much against the sort of the preferences of people like Tom Baker, I'm guessing, who saw the problems with the prop because it was making studio days so difficult, and the special effects guys trying to get him on location and the like. Graham Williams went against all that and said, no, the kid stays in the show. And here we are.
The kid stays.
Here we
So
are. All
anybody out there that doesn't like Canine, what we're basically saying is, you're wrong. Okay. Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah. We can't wait to ask all these questions to Bob, however many he's going to put up with, however long we're speaking to him for. It's going to be fun, so don't miss that here on the channel. That's next Tuesday. There's an ad coming up for that very, very soon. But yes, what's all this about generally? Well, Type Over 40 is my sort of video diary where I invite friends and fellow fans in to geek out with me. It's a before show, it's an after show, and it's an in-between show to the Type 40 Doctor Who podcast that we put out on the Fandom Podcast Network. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Podbean, you name it, it's everywhere, even on YouTube now. Come and catch us there. 65 episodes and a 66th has just dropped, which is a special edited edition of a live show that we did on YouTube over the summer with some of our friends from Fandom. We had a lot of fun there on that. So yeah, you can go and hear that. There's more episodes coming up very, very soon with the start of our season 3 proper, Simon. Where will it end? There's so much left to talk about, isn't there?
You sometimes wonder, could we ever run out of things to talk about with Doctor Who? Could that ever? Can you see that? No, I can't actually ever see that day dawning.
Leave us a comment. If you think we'll ever run out of things to talk about Doctor Who, you let us know your honest opinion there. I think the odds are against it, particularly when I'm always finding out new bits and bobs, Simon, because since we've been talking about this and since this became a reality and it's all started to happen with the Canine people who've been it's very flattering and very encouraging, and we're very, very grateful that they've come to us with this. But since it's all been happening and we've been talking to them, it's blown away all these cobwebs with me about what Canine meant to me. And I went to a little box I've got in the bottom of my wardrobe. I went to that to have a look at a few sort of bits and bobs from my childhood and see what I could sort of fish out. So I've got something to show you now that has never, ever seen the light of day. It's 40 years old, and I'm about to flash it up on screen now. This is possibly the very first example of a drawing of any kind by me. Here we go.
Oh, look at that.
That's
fantastic.
Yes, the very first example, the existing example of a drawing by me. Now, bear in mind that I make a living by drawing funny pictures and things. So this is quite monumental for me. So this is from a notebook that I know that I had, I think it was Christmas 1979. And there is Canine. I'd had Canine for Christmas. And there I think I'd had the notebook for Christmas too. So I'd sort of try to immortalize that feeling, Simon, when something exciting happens to you as a child.
Yeah.
You want to commit it to memory, don't you? In any way that
absolutely.
you can. And I think that's clearly what I did. I was about 6 years old, 5, maybe 6 years old.
Well, you were saying that Romana's played by Lalla Ward at that point, so that dates it. We know it's sort of 1979.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I can even see the book. I think our generation, Dan, we all had that little book. I recognise the little line at the top. I had a little book exactly the same as that. I think we all did, and I wrote down things in there to do with Doctor Who. I made lists of Doctor Who stories that I'd seen, Target books I'd read, that kind of stuff. And it's remarkable because however old you are, actually that's not a bad representation of Canine. You've even got the little ring at the end of the tail. You've remembered to draw that in.
Yeah, I think it's because, like I said, Canine was my best toy. I'd probably got Canine in front of me, and I wondered, well, when did I decide what space I was going to leave for the picture there? You know, just a couple of lines. So he's a little bit slim, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. And
it's recognisable.
Talks like the real one from Doctor Who. The control buttons on his back, you press them. He's a
So this is
character.
the talking. This is the Palatoy talking canine we're
It
talking
is.
about here, isn't it?
Yeah, it
That's
is.
what you had.
And yeah, I had the notebook, the same for Christmas. Shortly after, on New Year's, I think it was New Year's Day, like about 7 days later, I went to see The Empire Strikes Back. And so the rest of the book, it's all dated. And so for about 3 weeks after that, it was just Empire Strikes Back, Empire Strikes Back. Just
well, you've got taste, Dan. You've got taste. Let's be honest.
A lot can happen in a child's head in that time, but very soon after, my mind went back to K9, and later on in the book there was some more pictures there.
Brilliant! Look at that. That's the one at the bottom is again. That's really quite accurate. You've even got the neck. You've tried to do the corrugations on the neck.
Big men in the background there, so I've gone a bit Lowry.
Yeah, is that Romana saying what appears to be sight, but I'm assuming is sit?
That is Barbara Woodhouse, believe it or not.
Oh, of course it is Barbara Woodhouse. Sit, of course.
Yeah, there's actually a little story that goes with that, but yes, even I'm not brave enough to share that.
It's one of the things that frustrates me. I know that K9 appeared on the Barbara Woodhouse show, and if you're too young to know what Barbara Woodhouse is, just go and YouTube Barbara Woodhouse. This was entertainment for us kids back in the day. Was Barbara Woodhouse, and I know that K9 appeared on the Barbara Woodhouse show around about the time of season 18, and it's not on the season 18 box set. And I was gutted because I've never seen it. I'm desperate to see K9 on Barbara Woodhouse.
That could have been what I'd seen then. That
could well be.
Yeah.
Could well be. I'm hoping that they'll maybe include it on the season 17 box set. Look at that. Whoa, that's got something psychedelic, hasn't it? K9 in the Rainbow.
A short story that's very, very short, about 4 lines.
Once upon a time, our toy K9, is that what we're saying, got fed up and bored, and one day he had a dream.
Yes.
The Rainbow Man. That's great, isn't it? God, that's just brilliant to have. I am K9, said K9.
I think that story was really going somewhere, and I obviously got bored with it, but then he woke up.
I think you should send that into Chris Chibnall. I think he'd see the potential in that. I think there's a lot going for that. He then woke up at the end.
Chris, you love a rainbow, don't you, Chris?
Yeah, definitely needs to go
little things like that. I'd forgotten. I'd remembered that I'd put a drawing at the front of that book, in all seriousness. But what I didn't remember was all the other stuff in it. Because I had a good look through, the way you do when you're blowing the cobwebs off.
Yeah.
And you think, God, this character really, really did mean something to me. And yes, you're quite right, Simon. The toy that I'm talking about was this classic piece of merchandise.
Oh, there we go. Beautiful.
It is absolutely beautiful.
One of those back now. I had it and I've lost it now, and it'll cost me far too much money to buy it back again, or at least in working, in good working condition. Because that's the problem. If you try and get one of those now, you can get them, but A, they're expensive, and B, none of them are ever in very good condition. The sticker's always coming, that little orange sticker on the side's always coming off, the ears are always broken, the collar is always peeled off, the tail's always broken off, and it's just gutting. And I'd love to get one of those back.
I think that when you go looking on eBay and the other auction sites, in fact, from memory, I think it does go to not Sotheby's as such, but whatever are the major toy online auctioneers. Where things go for £300, £400, £500, where the starting bid is probably 150 to 200 quid. You see them turn up there quite regularly, and some of them are. You think, how can that possibly be after 40 years, be in such beautiful condition? I still have mine. It doesn't look like that.
Do you?
I can barely bear to look at mine. He's in that much of a sorry state, and he's not. And the glue has come away, so he's not even all together. It's desperately sad.
Oh,
but yes, if you do have one, I bet there's somebody. In fact, I bet I know who it is. I bet there's somebody watching this now who's got one, maybe even two, in their loft. And I'm not jealous at all. But I'd love to get one again.
Desperate for it. I am desperate. But the one I'd really, really like back is the Dennis Fisher one, as I say, the one that came with the Tom Baker doll. That's the one I really want back. Because it's such a beautiful little model. And that came out the year before this one, as I recall. But they're both lovely. I mean, who wouldn't want a talking canine?
And you'd press the button on the top like that when you need say numerous things, proper John
4 as I
Leeson
recall.
style. Yeah, I can't remember how many sayings he had, but there was quite a few. I remember.
Yeah, there was. I think there was a beautiful little transparent record inside, wasn't there? It was brilliant. And as I recall, you flipped it. I'm pretty certain you could flip it, and there were
I did that too.
maybe 4 phrases on the one side and 4 phrases on the other side. And of course, the other big thing for me with Canine that was all at that era was the Longleat and the Blackpool exhibitions. And again, we've talked about these at length, how much we adore those Longleat and Blackpool exhibitions. And again, Canine was such an integral part of those, because to go into the exhibition and see, okay, it wasn't the actual canine. We didn't know at the time. We didn't care.
Huh?
It was a replica canine, but it was beautiful, and we all wanted it. And he used to trundle up and down and do his little speech about welcome to this BBC Enterprises Doctor Who exhibition. Oh, the memories just come flooding
When you
back.
see it now, there are a few. It's like the TARDIS console at the exhibition. There are a few differences, aren't there? It's clearly not the same model, but it's still. I think it added to it, brought it to life that bit more.
Yeah, and in many ways, I'm almost more nostalgic about the exhibition canine than I'm about the real canine scene, because I saw it more, because I used to just literally go to the exhibition and just stand, with my hands plastered to the glass, looking at this canine, wanting it. And on the little screen on the side, this had stuff in it. It didn't move or do anything. It was just a little acetate screen, but it had text on and stuff. So I used to stand there and read it and think, what does this text mean? And again, for a 10, 11-year-old,
it's absolutely captivating. I've got a little video to show you here. We're just looking at the canine. I'd forgotten I'd got this, but this is off on YouTube, and this is somebody who's got the talking canine. Can you hear that?
Was that affirmative?
Somebody's gone to the trouble of recording every single one like
Bless
that.
them.
That's in a better condition than mine.
He's in very, very good condition, isn't he? Although his ears have dropped. Can you see? His ears have dropped, bless him.
Yeah. My ears have definitely dropped this week as well. I think that could be something to do with the haircut. I don't know. Yeah, so all that nostalgia, all those memories, and you're absolutely right. Decades later, Canine spent really quite a short time on screen, and yet people were captivated all over again. It's extended the legacy of the character in many, many ways, but particularly in merchandise. We've got these very latest sort of versions. We've got the plushy version in the middle, the big squashy one that can talk. You've got the Lego one on the left there. I'm not quite sure what set that would have been for. Maybe the expansion set that they put out with the Peter Capaldi TARDIS. I don't know.
Yeah,
then there's a Funko Pop there on the right.
And you've made it. Once you get a Funko Pop and a Lego figure made of yourself, you're talking.
Exactly. I think that really speaks volumes about this character. And I know that there are cynics out there, but who wouldn't I actually want one of the plushy ones now? I'd be quite happy with one of those. But I have my latest canine that I've got is this one, which I have to show you now. This was gifted to me by our very own starry-eyed Sarah Graham. And this is
Sarah.
Handmade
canine. Who's made that?
By a real craftsman. I did know the gentleman's name. I do apologise if you're watching, because he goes by about 4 different names on various YouTube channels, because he does all sorts of things. Very clever man. He's a Renaissance man. He can turn his hand to anything. But that's proper metal. It's recycled parts.
I was going to say that's metal, isn't it? That's a recycled canine, isn't it?
It's very, very cute.
Whoa, that's fantastic.
Yeah. She puts it. There was a ribbon tied around his neck with a nice message on as well. Thank you, Sarah. I do treasure this. It's absolutely beautiful.
That is. That's just really quite unique and remarkable, isn't it? That is really quite something.
So to have something like this that symbolises friendship, and decades.
And isn't that canine all over? Symbolising
I-
friendship. That to me is canine. He's just a lovable, lovely character. You can't dislike canine. Well, I can't. I don't know how anybody can. It's beautiful.
Affirmative. You're getting in Rosie's light there, but yes,
Yeah,
definitely affirmative on that one. So yes, so thanks again, Sarah. It's absolutely lovely, and I do treasure it. Yes, but to think that sort of brings you full circle when you're an adult and you get something like that. My very first Doctor Who toy, I think, was the talking canine. I did have the Tom Baker figure too, but I think I might have had that afterwards. I don't know. I think it must have been afterwards, because I remember the sensation of opening the package and seeing the canine toy that I didn't even know they existed. I remember how it felt, because Doctor Who had been sort of burrowing its way into me for 5 years at that point, and I was getting completely seduced by it, as we do. Oh, I can't wait to put all this to Bob Baker and to Paul Tams. And we're going to take your comments and questions too. There's going to be a Q&A session. You're going to be able to ask the guys whatever you like about Canine in the past and in the present. And we are going to be talking about his future too. It's going to be very exciting. We've got a couple of exclusives coming our way on Tuesday from the worlds of Doctor Who. Spread the word, and come and
You're not
watch.
going to want to miss it, are you? Let's be honest.
Come and add your piece in the chat. Simon, I can't possibly let you go without, due to popular demand, breaking out the quiz box. Yes, Vanessa, this one's for you. People have been asking to revisit the quiz. And
we haven't done this for a while. Why haven't we done this for a while?
Done it for ages, because the main type over 40 videos sort of grown and become other things with lots of wonderful friends on there. But in the meantime, this simple man-on-man combat of trivia and nonsense, it must take place once again. So I'm going to shuffle these cards. How many questions would you like this time?
Should we have a couple each?
Yeah, I think we'll have 2 each, shall we? Okay.
Right. Shall I start you off?
Yes, go on then.
Right, here we go.
Yeah.
What is the name of the chairman of the Sirius conglomerate on Androzani Minor?
The Sirius conglomerate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, who would that be?
Well, I'll give you the question again. Think about it carefully. What is the name of the chairman of the Sirius conglomerate on Androzani Minor?
That's got to be Morgus, because it's the president who comes to see him. Indeed,
it is Morgus. You didn't get caught out there. You nearly did. You didn't get caught out. Morgus it is.
I was trying to remember who was who. God, I've seen it hundreds of times. I'd have kicked myself if I got that one wrong. Okay.
I'd have kicked you. Don't worry, I would have kicked you.
Even from there, even in lockdown. Yes. Let's get a good question. Okay. Oh. Okay. Here's your question.
Okay.
What acid is lethal to Sontarans?
This is the 2 Doctors, isn't it?
I wouldn't have known this, I think.
I do know it, but I think I'm going to have. I'm not going to get it. It's the sun. It's the Chronic.
Well played. Correct.
Is it Chronic acid? Woohoo!
That's impressive.
That's the 2 Doctors. For anybody that's wondering what on earth is that, it's the 2 Doctors, Chronic acid, and the makeup effect. Once the Sontaran Val has been done with it, whoa! It's a makeup effect beyond all makeup effects. It's brilliant. Right, you ready for a second one? Here we go, then, Dan. Oh, actually, this is literally the next question on. I haven't planned this, but this is perfect for reasons that will become apparent. What is the name of Sarah Jane Smith's aunt, who was a renowned virologist?
Now, I got these confused a few days ago. It is Aunt Lavinia, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Aunt Lavinia. That's absolutely. Yeah. And the reason it's perfect for anybody that doesn't know, Aunt Lavinia is in Canine and Company. Their one and only appearance in any form of Doctor Who, as far as I'm aware, is Canine and Company. You couldn't make it up, could you? Well done. 2 out of 2 for you then, Dan.
Yeah, okay. Here we are. Here's a...
Pressure's on.
Okay. What tool did the Doctor give Sarah Jane Smith?
What
Burn-
tool?
What tool did the Doctor give Sarah Jane Smith? Bear in mind, this is a
This is going. Okay. So
this is a classic and a new series edition.
So this will be school reunion. Oh, it might not even be school reunion, might it? It might be Stolen Earth or all manner of things. Do you know? I'm going to crash and burn on this one. I haven't got a clue, and so. I'm sure I'm going to be wrong on this because I have a feeling
they're all typing it all in.
Yeah, I know they are. I have a feeling she made the Sonic lipstick herself, but I'm going to go with Sonic lipstick.
Correct. Well played.
What? What? I have shocked myself. I was convinced she'd made the Sonic lipstick herself. Well, there we go then. 2 out of 2 for both of us.
I don't remember him giving it to her,
No,
but then again, I haven't watched the stories in a while.
Well, I'm guessing you never see the Doctor give the Sonic lipstick to Sarah, but presumably when she first starts using it, she says, it was a gift from a good friend or something along those lines. I can't remember. It's
I'd like to
it's
think
too
so.
I haven't watched that one.
A full draw then. I hope that satisfies all you quiz fans out there. Maybe we'll do another one at some point. I've been doing some quizzes on another channel with the rabbi from another planet, Fila Betkin. That's been a lot of fun. General sci-fi. May do a Doctor Who quiz on here at some point if there's enough demand. So let us know what you think. Maybe at Christmas. We shall see. Oh, I think that about covers it, Simon. How many days have we got? We've got about 3 or 4 days by the time this video drops until we're there with Canine on Tuesday afternoon. Let's get this back up on screen for you. So this is what's happening. Type 40 live, talking Canine. See what I did there?
Hey!
Bacon, Paul Tams, exclusively here on YouTube on the Spacebook channel. There's the times. It's Tuesday at 3 p.m. UK time, 7 a.m. Pacific, or 10 a.m. Eastern. So got the American times there too.
Get your comments in, get your questions in. Start putting your comments and questions down.
Yes. Scribble them down in the small hours. If you wake up and think, I know what I want to ask, have a notepad by the side of your bed, just like I did when I was a kid there.
And let us have all your favourite canine memories. Start sending us your favourite canine memories.
Yes, and pictures too. If you're in the Type 40 Facebook group, hit that wall. It's a bit of a canine week. So hit the wall with all your memories, all your drawings maybe from when you were a kid, or pictures
photos of homemade canines. If anybody's got homemade canines out there.
I like that. Or maybe canine cakes. That would be a good move, wouldn't it?
Wow. Cool.
Everyone loves a good cake image, don't they?
Or if anybody knitted the canine from the Doctor Who pattern book in the late 80s, send us photos of your knitted canine.
Yes, I've told you, we're not proud. Radio Free Scaro, they have all the intelligence stuff and all the intellectual stuff. We'll take the rest. Bring us all the nonsense anytime.
We'll take the fun.
Yeah, I think that about covers it for now, Simon. We can only have so much fun in 1 week. I'll see you next Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock.
Take care, everybody. See you soon.
And yeah, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.